Don't think. Feel. It is like a finger pointing away to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.
Vincent J. "The Chin" Gigante was born in Lower East Side, Manhattan to Salvatore Esposito Vulgo Gigante, April 26, 1900 April 1979, a jewel engraver, and Yolanda Santazilia Gigante, 1902 May 10, 1997, a seamstress and maternal niece of Dolores Santazilia. His parents and aunt were first-generation immigrants from Naples, Italy, and never learned the English language. Vincent and his extended family relatives settled in New York City and Westchester County, including Connecticut and Massachusetts. Gigante's nickname, "The Chin," derived from his mother's use of the Italian pronunciation of his given name, Vincenzo, Vincenzio. Gigante boxed all over New York, in club fights and in the backs of bars. Like an actor waiting tables at night, Gigante moonlighted as Mafia enforcer of B-Generation Greenwich Village, amassing arrests for illegal guns, theft, arson and more. Vincent Gigante was a short-lived professional light heavyweight boxer who is known as "The Chin" Gigante. He fought 25 matches and lost 4, boxing 121 rounds and ended 2 matches with technical knockouts. Gigante earned his Mafia credentials as an enforcer in the 1950s. He ran a crew from Greenwich Village that was formerly overseen by Vito Genovese and later Anthony Strollo, Tony Bender. Gigante's crew was based out of the Triangle Social Club, located at 208 Sullivan Street, but also met with fellow crew members at the Dante Social Club at 81 McDougal Street, and the Panel Social Club at 208 Thompson Street. Besides those locations, Gigante met with gangsters and business associates at his mother's apartment. He was involved in bookmaking and loan sharking, and was immersed in labor racketeering involvement with New York City's construction and haulage industries. The Gigante family tenement. FBI agents once found Vincent here standing in the shower under an open umbrella. For most of his life, Vincent Gigante lived at 225 Sullivan Street with his ma, Yolanda, his headquarters. The Triangle Civic Association was across the street at 208 Sullivan Street. The Triangle Civic Association, despite the crazy act, Gigante ruled over the crime family, positioning East Harlem Mafia kingpin, Fat Tony Salerno, as a front boss and buffer. Chen held court across the street from his mother's apartment at the Triangle Civic Association, 208 Sullivan Street. The nondescript club had little more than a bar and an espresso machine, but it served as a low-profile command center, which he had swept for bugs regularly. Was he mentally ill or a criminal mastermind? A brain-damaged ex-bug? Or the leader of the Genovese crime family? These questions dominated New York's tabloids for much of 1990s. Genovese, returned from his self-imposed exile in fascist Italy during WWII, had plans for the young boxer who would become a Mafia superstar, serving as Genovese's chauffeur, bodyguard and top triggerman. With Genovese's return, a confrontation loomed with Frank Costello, the reigning boss of the Luciano crime family. Gigante was tasked with rubbing out the boss to make way for Genovese. The ex-boxer took to an underworld shooting range beneath the streets of Greenwich Village to ready his trigger finger. On May 2, 1957, he was ordered by Vito Genovese to murder Frank Costello, a close friend of Charles Luciano and Meyer Lansky and one of the best-known underworld figures in the United States. Vincent shot Costello as he entered the lobby at 115 Central Park West, where he had an apartment in the Majestic, on the corner of 72nd Street, Manhattan. Just as Gigante fired his .38 caliber handgun, however, Costello moved, causing the bullet to graze the right side of his head. Because Costello fell down, Gigante thought the mob boss was dead and sped away in a black Cadillac. In 1959, he was convicted with Genovese for heroin trafficking and sentenced to 7 years in prison. The sentencing judge was swayed by a flood of letters from residents of Greenwich Village and Little Italy attesting to Gigante's good character and his work on behalf of juveniles. He was paroled after 5 years. Not long afterward, he was promoted from soldier to the rank of captain, running his own crew in Greenwich Village. Despite the notoriety, for much of his life of crime, Vincent, the Chin Gigante lived with his dear old ma, Yolanda, at 225 Sullivan Street in the heart of Greenwich Village, a place the FBI once called one of the most impregnable mob strongholds in the country. In 1990, Gigante was arrested and charged with racketeering and murder. However, it wasn't until 1997 that he was brought to trial. During that time period, Gigante's lawyers produced witness after witness who testified that Gigante was mentally ill and unfit to stand trial. However, all this changed when a number of prominent Mafia members from various families began to cooperate with the government in the early 1990s. In 1997, Gigante was convicted on several racketeering and conspiracy charges and sentenced to 12 years in a federal prison. Despite his lawyers' and psychiatrists' claims that he had been legally insane for more than 30 years, the jury convicted him on all but the murder charges, which would have mandated a life sentence without parole. On April 7, 2003, he pleaded guilty to obstruction of justice in federal district court, acknowledging that his insanity was a pretense in order to delay his racketeering trial. This was part of a deal to avoid another set of charges that would have brought on a lengthy trial. He was 75 at the time. Instead, he had another 3 years added to his sentence. This plea deal was only agreed upon to get a lesser sentence for himself and his son Andrew. In 2005, Gigante's health started to decline. He started suffering labored breathing, oxygen deprivation, swelling in the lower body, and bouts of unconsciousness. In November 2005, Flora Edwards, his lawyer, sued officials at the Medical Center for Federal Prisoners in Springfield, Missouri to transfer Gigante to an acute care hospital. Transferred to a private medical facility, Gigante rallied physically. In early December, he was transferred back to Springfield, where he died 10 days later on December 19, 2005.